Hello students. So today we are going to take more illustrations based on the process costing system. In the previous lecture we have done how to prepare the process accounts with basic expenses given to you like direct material, direct labor and general expenses. Now we are moving on to certain losses which might be given to you in the question and how it has to be treated. We'll see to it now. Now first let us start with the topic loss in production. Loss in production, there are two types of losses which can be considered in the preparation of the process account, that is normal loss and abnormal loss. Normal loss is the loss which can be estimated in advance by the management due to the nature of the product, process, or the loss which cannot be controlled during the production process is known as normal loss. Means it is a type of loss which has to be incurred during the manufacturing process and you do not have the control over it. Like you can take an example, like some cloth is wasted while the dress is being prepared from a piece of cloth, or more similar examples can be like some leather pieces remain unutilized while preparing the shoes from the leather. Or more examples can be wood pieces which are left over or are unused while doors or furniture are made by the carpenter. So these are certain expenses, particularly a normal loss, which has to be incurred during the production process, and these type of losses generally increase the cost of production, because without which the manufacturing process cannot be carried out. Now let us take what is the concept of abnormal loss. Abnormal loss takes place due to unexpected reasons. Unexpected reasons, and they cannot be even predicted and they cannot be even controlled by the management. They are generally due to the unforeseen reasons which are not predicted by the management. They are just sudden to the process. The general examples of abnormal loss can be like machinery breakdown. We have not expected that during the manufacturing process, with the good quantity being produced during that time, the machinery will stop or the machinery will break down. More examples can be power failure, labor strike, carelessness or the indiscipline of the laborers or workers, or you can take the example of attitude of the worker to damage the material. So these are all the examples related to the abnormal loss which are unpredicted and uncontrolled by the management, and abnormal loss does not affect the cost of production. Now we have gone through the basic concept of normal and abnormal loss. Now let us see how it has to be treated in the practical. Abnormal loss is placed on the credit side of the process account. Abnormal gain is placed on the debit side of the process account. Abnormal loss is treated only when the normal output is more than the actual output, and abnormal gain is when the normal output is less than the actual output. Now, how to calculate this normal output and what is this actual output now? See the calculation here. How the calculation of the abnormal gain or abnormal loss has to be done in form of units as well as in the form of the amount. Now first let us see total units produced minus normal loss units. This will be given to you in the question. Total units produced means the output. This will give you normal output. You will compare with the actual output and take out the difference, which will show you abnormal gain or abnormal loss. Now from this case you will ascertain that if normal output is more than the actual output, then it is a case of abnormal loss. If normal output is less than the actual output, then it is a case of abnormal gain. So from here you will come to know which of the case it is. Now further, this was the process which is done to calculate abnormal gain or abnormal loss units. Now how to calculate in terms of rupees means cost of abnormal gain or cost of abnormal loss. Normal cost of normal output divided by normal output into abnormal loss or abnormal gain units, which you have calculated from here. Now how to calculate this numerator, normal cost of normal output? This means all the debit side expenses, like your process account looks like this. Debit is this, credit is this. All the debit side amount minus the credit side amount. Why amount? Because we are calculating the cost, not units here. Right? Now this will be more clear to you when we are going to start with a practical. Now let us take a very important question which will explain you each and every concept related to abnormal gain, abnormal loss, and even normal loss. A product passes through three processes A, B, and C. The normal loss of each process is as follows: 3%, 5%, 8%. So there are three processes given to you, and this is given what? Normal loss. Right? Next, try to identify from each step what all is given to you. The wastage of process A is sold at rupee 1 per unit, and process B at rupees 2 per unit, and of process C at rupees 4 per unit. So what this per unit is given for? This wastage implies the normal loss. This will be helpful in calculating with the units, and when you will multiply that units to get the amount, this per unit is given to you. 10,000 units were issued to process A. It means this is output. एक तरह से this is not output, this is the input which is required as a basic raw material to start process A at the cost of rupees 4 per unit. Other expenses given: material, labor, and direct expenses for all the three processes. Actual output is also given for the three processes. You have to prepare the process account, also show the abnormal loss and abnormal gain account. Now let us take up the illustration solution. Now how to prepare? If you are able to understand with the first process, you can easily prepare the next two processes. So process A account, format particulars units amount, debit and credit side. Now on the debit side, you have to list down all the expenses including the input if given to you. Input means this 10,000 units were issued to process A. So first write down 2 basic material, 10,000 units at the rate of 4 given to you, so 40,000. Next, list out all other expenses given to you related to the process. Right? This you have written here. Right? Give a total to it. Now come to the credit side. The credit side includes normal loss, abnormal loss, and if it is abnormal gain, it is written on the debit side. So normal loss by normal loss. Normal loss is given to you in which form? Percent and the cost per unit, right? So for process A, it is 3% at the rate of 1. 3% of the units of the input always. So 3% of 10,000 units, 300 at the rate of 1. Now you will multiply this with 1 to get the 300 amount. Clear? Now next, by abnormal loss. Now how I can get to know whether it is abnormal loss? Before this calculation, you have to come to the working note for the calculation of abnormal loss or abnormal gain. Units produced 10,000. You have to pick this number of units. Units produced minus normal loss, normal output. Minus normal loss is how much? 300 units. This is all the calculation for units. right? So normal output is 9700 units. Try to compare with the actual output, which is given in the question as 9500 units, right? So 9700 normal output, actual output 9500, compare 200 units. So this 200 units is a difference, but what actually it is, abnormal loss or abnormal gain. Now we have studied theoretically that when normal output is more than the actual output, it is a case of abnormal loss. Abnormal loss is always written on the credit side of the process account. So abnormal loss 200 units has to be written here. Right. Now, how to calculate the amount? Using the formula cost of abnormal loss equal to normal cost of normal output divided by normal output into abnormal loss units. Now, simply put first these figures. Normal output is 9700 into abnormal loss units. You have just calculated 200 units, right? Now, the basic question we always ask is how to calculate the normal cost of normal output. It is, I'm giving you a major hint, debit side amount minus credit side amount. So debit side amount means the total of these, that is 68,200, minus credit side amount. Credit side amount you haven't calculated this, so credit side amount अभी तक आपके पास कितना है? Only 300. Write down here, right? So 67,900 divided by 9,700 into 200, rupees 1,400 is the cost of abnormal loss. Write down here. Means now till now you have completed the normal loss, abnormal loss with units and amount. So the final step is always by transfer to the next process. Next process, write the name of the next process and calculate the balancing figure. How to calculate? Units में से ये वाली units minus, amount में से ये amount minus. So 10,000 minus 300 minus 200, 9,500. This all 68,200 minus 300 minus 1,400 is 66,500. So in this way you are able to complete your process account. Along with calculation of cost per unit, you have to do the calculation of CPU for every process. Amount divided by units. 66,500 divided by 9,500. Right? Now, similar calculation you have to attempt for the next process, which is process B account. Now, for process B, first, before writing the expenses, material, labor, direct expenses, you have to first carry forward the balance of the units and amount with the name of the previous process. Means 9,500 units, amount 66,500. Then write down all the expenses for B, 6,000, 32,475, right? Now calculation of the normal loss is always on the credit side. This is percent is given as 5% is the normal loss at the rate of 2. So 5% of units. Which units? Which we are writing here. Now we cannot take these 10,000 units. This was only for process A. Now we are doing the calculation for the process B. Now it is giving you 9,500 units as the input. So 5% of 9,500 is 475. At the rate of how much you have to multiply now? 2 per unit. So 475 multiplied by 2, 950. Now we try to get the information about the abnormal loss or abnormal gain. How to do it? Units 9,500 minus normal loss units 475 will give you the normal output. Compare the normal output with the actual output. Actual output is always given in the question, 9,100. So normal output is 9,025. Actual output is 9,100. Which one is more? Actual output is more. So when NO is less than AO, it is the case of abnormal gain. And abnormal gain, we know theoretically it is written on the debit side with 75 units. So I'm writing here 2 abnormal, gain 75 units. Now cost of abnormal gain, how I have to calculate, how this 900 is now calculated. Formula is normal cost of normal output by normal output into abnormal gain units. It is same as what you have done for process A abnormal loss. So how to calculate normal cost of normal output? Debit amount minus credit amount. This amount माइनस क्रेडिट अमाउंट में 950 ही है अभी तक आपके पास, ठीक है, डिवाइडेड बाय 9025 इंटू 75 यूनिट्स. दिस इज ₹900 नाउ. Right now, same calculation you have to proceed for process C. For process C, let us see how many expenses: material, labor, direct expense. Normal loss percent 8% at the rate of 4. So write down all the expenses with the normal loss 8% of number of units which has been carried forward from the previous process B. Right, then 8% of 9100. And how to get this amount? At the rate it is given to you as 4. So here it is given to you process C at 4 per unit. So 728 multiplied by 4. Right, now after doing the calculation of normal loss, just do the calculation for abnormal gain or abnormal loss. Units 9100 minus normal loss unit 728 will give you the normal output. Compare the normal output with the actual output. Normal output is 8372, actual output is 8100 given in the question. Right, now we have come to know that NO is more than AO, so it is a case of abnormal loss. Abnormal loss means written on the credit side with how many units? Difference of actual output and normal output 272 units. Now how to calculate this amount? 4623. Cost of abnormal loss is normal cost of normal output divided by normal output into abnormal loss units. जिसकी cost निकालनी है उसी की units लिखनी है. Normal cost of normal output is debit amount minus credit amount. Debit amount means this all 1,45,202 minus credit amount. Credit amount only contains always normal loss or any of the losses or scraps given to you. Right, abnormal loss units is 272. So 4623 is your answer for the abnormal loss. Now in this way we have to prepare the process accounts.